Folks, I want to share with you guys a prison-related news story that I just ran across that is damn crazy and shocking, and it really brings to mind and reminds me of this sort of thing happening. You know, this story is most certainly not a first for this happening. It may, however, be a first of this actually getting recognized in such a way that it has made the news. Where this story takes place at is in a place that is no stranger to prison news stories taking place. In the city of St. Louis, at the St. Louis Justice Center, I believe is what this jail is referred to as. And you may remember just a few months ago, there were two separate incidents where inmates at this particular facility broke windows on fourth and other floors, fourth floor and other floor windows, in some sort of a protest about the COVID-like conditions and the fact that they weren't getting court dates because of COVID and the courts being shut down. Well, this St. Louis Municipal Center, Justice Center, is back in the news again, and this time it doesn't disappoint. Just as those first two stories didn't disappoint, neither. And brace yourselves, folks, this headline is shocking. Subway's tuna sandwich has no tuna DNA. Tests fine. Oh wait, that's a totally different story. Yo, Subway tuna fish sandwich don't even got no tuna fish in it. What is that shit? They did a DNA test on that fish and found out they don't know what species it is. But that's not for this video. We'll do that somewhere else. Maybe on Joe Does Stuff. There's a lot of other stories that I would like to react to. Shocking jail video shows correction officer's role in inmates' assault. What are we talking about right here? Judging from that headline, you would think that the guard jumped somebody with the prisoners. Folks, I want to show you guys this screenshot. I'm going to link this story so that you guys can see the video down below. You definitely ought to check this out. There's flies flying around right now too. I'm not even going to pay them no mind. But you definitely ought to check out this video because it is pretty shocking, especially if you've never been locked up and have never seen anything like this take place before. But what you're looking at in this screenshot right here are two inmates talking to this female corrections officer who has since been removed from her job. Let's go ahead and throw that in here. First things first. But this whole incident starts out with this particular scene. These two prisoners who were talking to this corrections officer. Now, there's some other interesting things to note about this. One or either both of these inmates talking to this corrections officer are gang members. And the housing unit in which this takes place is actually on the fourth floor. Interestingly enough, the fourth floor was one of the floors where one of those window breaking protests took place at this facility a few months prior. But this is in a very special housing unit, which is reserved for people who have mental... Is it a fly or is it dust? Joe, you might be on the dust. I'm not. This housing unit is a special housing unit. It's called 4 Bravo for inmates with mental health challenges. Now, I want to throw this in here real quick. I've never been in one of these type of housing units. The closest that I've ever come to being in a housing unit with people with mental health disabilities is either when somebody who is crazy has been brought into the housing unit and then they're found out about later on. Like maybe initially during intake, they weren't realized to be so crazy until they're butt ball naked, covering their entire body in feces like it's Lubriderm lotion and dancing. I believe I can fly. Yo, whoa, boy. Turn the TV off. We got the Super Bowl right here. Yo, boy, I wonder what that smell was. Either a situation like that or being in isolation, because isolation usually does not judge. They reserve no judgment down in isolation. They're going to put your ass down there with like the snitches and the dudes in PC sometimes. Maybe not. PC is usually a totally different thing. But they're going to put you down there with dudes who are fighting, dudes who got checked in. Somebody checked them in. Officer, that man had a knife and he said he was going to kill all y'all. Oh, y'all. He said he was going to play Red Dead Redemption in real life with y'all. Whew. Hope that landed good. And also, people who are crazy. I've definitely been in the hole with dudes who are crazy. I can still hear the screaming. That's Dookie going everywhere. Almost sounds like me on the toilet recently dealing with this horrible, horrendous case of the roid rage. I need a depository. I'm 40, or close to it, so, you know. As you get older, you can talk about those things more freely, I guess. There's no shame in my game. Anywho, back to this crazy story. So, again, this whole thing starts out with these two inmates sitting here talking to this corrections officer. You can't hear, and there's no audio that, like, lets you hear what they're saying to this guard, but you gotta wonder, right? You gotta wonder, like, what they're talking about. They're definitely not talking about the weather, that's for sure. You know, I wonder how they convinced this female officer to risk her job, and how did she not take into account the fact that she was doing just that when, from here, this female officer would hit that buzzer, bing, like America's Got Talent. Ding, 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 ding. That was a nice little reenactment right there. She hit the buzzer to unlock the cell of the guy who would get assaulted in this particular story. And then you would see the first guy go up into the cell. Now, they've got some grainy footage. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a screenshot of the video from inside of the cell. But again, if I can't, just definitely check out the link below and just watch the video. They got a camera in this dude's cell. You know, not everybody gets a camera up in their cell, at least where I'm at. You know, if you got a camera in your cell, you're on that 24-hour surveillance. There's something going on with you. You're either in the turtle suit because they're fearful that you might take your life. You might be in a dry cell because they think that you swallowed the pack and they're waiting for you to dookie that money up out of there. That's dookie going everywhere. I like when I'm able to use skits twice in a video. Put that joint on a loop. Real nice. But maybe in this particular jail, in this particular cell block, the batshit crazy 4 Bravo at this St. Louis jail, maybe in this particular cell block, everybody's got a camera in their cell. How do you go on a prison date like that? Now, if I am able to incorporate the still shot from that grainy footage from inside of the cell, you probably can't tell. You'll have to watch the video to be able to see. But in the video, you can clearly see that the camera has been somewhat blocked. Sort of like throwing wet toilet paper at a vent in a cell to try to keep that cold air up off of you. You know, you ain't got no climate control up in there. You ain't got no way to change that thermostat. Some places don't have AC at all, but other places they try to keep you locked up like you in a meat locker. So cold up in there. You got to take that wet toilet paper like... That's dookie going everywhere. Boy, I was able to use that joint on the 3-peat. That's all right right there. That's all right. This incident starts out with 2 prisoners talking to a female corrections officer. The officer would be convinced, coerced, possibly. They made me do it. Not sure what her defense is going to be, but she's going to need one. She hits the buzzer like a game-winning shot. Bing! Inmate number 1 goes up in there and starts to do the feet scuffling and chairs shuffling, fighting. And anytime that you're locked up, you will never not know what that sound is. When you start to hear that, well, I was doing some river dance right there. When you start to hear that sound, you know immediately what that is. And that would be the sound that you could hear coming from this cell. When that sound transpired, other prisoners knew what was going on. So, of course, they trying to come and look. And the female officer's telling them, hey, yo, you better stay up there. Don't you come down here. I'm looking at this story via Facebook, and I forgot. I had this notification pop up, and Facebook was like, to report a problem, just click here. And I forgot that anytime you shake your phone, it lets you know to report abuse. Watch. If you... Like, they must think that you get so triggered that you'll just start shaking. Watch this. Watch. Do it, Facebook. There it is. Right there. It just popped up on the bottom. Right there. You got so triggered that you're just shaking. Sort of like that red flag law for the gun thing, kind of, maybe. So the guard basically played the lookout in this situation. And inmate number 2 would end up going up into the cell. The guard would tell another prisoner, I think that there were 2, maybe 3 prisoners that she told, don't come over here, stay over there where you at. Don't come down them steps. Well, by the time that the 2 assailants would leave from the assaultee's cell, dude was laid out on the floor. Now, there's no mention of why this attack took place. Was it gang related? Was there words exchanged, some sort of disrespect? Maybe they were just trying to show off for the guard. Maybe dude did something to the female officer, disrespected her in such a way that these 2 heroes without no capes decided they was going to take that vigilante justice into their own hands. And they would. They would leave from the cell. Dude laid out right there on the floor. Dude wouldn't get no medical help. The guard actually would be at the cell door telling the assailants, come on now, come on. They said that this attack lasted between 30 seconds to a minute before the guard was at the door telling the dudes to get up out of the cell. She seen dude laid right there on the floor. She shut the cell door. How cold and callous you must be. What did he say to piss her off to cause this to take place? That is only a hypothetical. Okay? There's no proof that that's what actually took place, and I'm definitely not trying to give this chick no sort of defense. She might be watching this video like, Dan, that's what I'm gonna tell him it was behind. He disrespected me. The fact of the matter is that it would be days later, 3, I believe, before another officer would notice the marks on this dude's face, the assaultee, get him medical attention, and they would realize that dude's jaw was in left field, literally. He had his jaw broken for 3 days. Can you imagine trying to eat like that? I've never had my jaw broke, but I imagine that shit hurts like a bitch. So once they realized dude had his jaw broke, that's probably when they decided, let's go ahead and see if we can roll back the tape. Now, I've been in prisons where the cameras don't even work. I've been in places where they say, yo, what happens today is gone tomorrow because them tapes are going to erase. It's on a 24-hour loop. It's like that's how much memory they got. We're talking days later, 3 days later, they were able to go back, roll this tape back, and see this incident take place. And from there, shorty girl, female staff member, female guard, she gone. She got fired. Or removed from her duties. And the assaultee now has a major civil rights lawsuit. I believe it's how they, let me make sure that I said that correctly. He's got a civil rights lawyer involved in this situation. Yes, they commented, or the attorney actually commented, the civil rights attorney Mark Pedroli said the unimaginable happened at the City Justice Center with the assistance of a government employee. Woo, could you word that any more powerfully? That chick worked for the government. Not sure if this was a federal jail, maybe a jail that housed both state and federal prisoners. My client was beaten relentlessly until unconscious, and as he lay there helpless, he was refused emergency medical care for days. It's time for the city of St. Louis to step up, take responsibility, and be accountable. Now, I may be making light of this situation, and you may think that that's in poor taste and say, Joe, you are so cold and callous. But fear not, I do so for good reason. Because just like this attorney said, it's time for the city of St. Louis to step up, take responsibility, and be accountable. You already know what that means. What would you do for a Klondike bar? And what I mean by that is, you know, like you'll see those memes on Facebook, like 5 years in prison, or your girl has to do 1 year, or 5 years in prison for $1 million. Something along those lines. Would you go through all of that, I guess is the short of it, in exchange for whatever the payout could potentially be from this lawsuit? Now, we've heard stories in the past where dudes have served 10, 20, 30, 40 years for crimes that they didn't commit, and they were only awarded like $700,000. How does that even break down to 30 years, like per year? What is that? Like, I guess what I'm saying is we've heard so many stories in the past of people who haven't been awarded shit in terms of what they probably really deserve to be awarded for being falsely arrested and incarcerated for decades. You know, who's to say that this guy in this particular story is going to fare any better in terms of a monetary gain? You know, I personally believe like this dude will get released. Maybe there's the possibility that could happen depending upon what he's locked up for. You know, if it's like some drug charges or maybe like a theft charge, maybe there's that possibility, but that's not even a guarantee. Do I feel like this dude's gonna get paid out of this deal? Maybe a couple milli? You know, he possibly could because this story is kind of high profile. And does it hit a little bit different? You know, being locked up 40 years for a crime you didn't commit versus being assaulted in a jail, proverbially at the hands of a correctional officer, or subconsciously through the hands of a corrections officer who did nothing, who put your life in jeopardy and didn't get you any help. And you were left in there helpless and harmed for like 3 days before help would come. I mean, when you think about a terrifying situation to be in, no matter what was the initial cause of this assault to this dude, yo, to think that you already got to watch out for the other prisoners that you're locked up with. You got to skirt that line so narrowly. You also got to watch out for the guards too. Because maybe it was some butthurt in the fields type of a situation that caused this guard to be talking to these dudes like, hey, yo, you know what he said to me? And I mentioned at the beginning of this video how, you know, this isn't an uncommon thing. This is not an uncommon thing. If you've ever been locked up before, or maybe not everybody, but a lot of people who've been locked up before can probably attest to this. You know, there are guards who are going to let the shit go down. It may not be because you did something to them. It could very well be because of that. But maybe that guard is just so cool. Oh shit, they got the boot scoop boogie going on in the restroom. Hey, y'all keep it down. Remember, we on candid camera. I've definitely seen that happen. I've seen guards bid off of that. Guards bid. That's how they're doing their time, their 8-hour shift. Yo, damn, I thought you said you could take him. I thought you said you could take him. Look at you, you knocked out on the toilet. Folks, I really want to hear what you guys think about this story. What do you think is going to happen to this female officer? She's been removed from duty. Is she going to bear any of that financial burden from that lawsuit? Probably not. You know, how's she going to kick to that? How's she going to contribute? What's she bringing to the meal? A pickle? You brought a pickle? Dog, I got a whole tuna pack, the real tuna. This shit passed the DNA test. The tuna pouch in prison got more tuna than the Subway do. All the ramen soups, all the cheese, the summer sauce. You brought a pickle? This shit gonna cost a little more than that. Little analogy right there. Hopefully that worked right there. How much you think this is gonna cost to go away? Y'all let me know what you think about all of this. And if you've ever heard or seen something like this take place, comment down below. Hey, contribute to the cookout, so to speak. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please leave a like and a comment. You're never gonna see any better correspondence, reactions, maybe, to prison news than Joey DeFranco. I'm not talking about Philip DeFranco neither, but Franco, there was a dude I was locked up with named that wheelchair, glycectomy bag, and rolled up on me in the back shower one time when I was handling business. Have a great one. I'll look forward to talking with you guys again real soon. And until then, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace!